Hey everyone, Tara Lynn here. Welcome. My Zoom looks a little different tonight. It looks like I had an update of some sort, so bear with me. I've got my normal dotting tools set out here, and this is what we are creating tonight. This is the Spring Skies Beginner Bliss design, and we are using the stencil. So if you are a box subscriber, that should be in there, and you can either use a paintbrush or one of these little sponges to put the color on. And if you are not a box subscriber, there is, this is just a simple stencil, petal stencil. So this design would be easy to do without a stencil as well. So the first thing you want to do is have your background painted. So if you have not already done so, go ahead and paint it black or any background color that you'd like. I did this one navy just so I don't have two of the exact same stone. And I'm going to get my paint out. The paint for this month, we've got Blue Haven is our blue color. Laurel is our green. Almondine is the off-white. And then we have Coral Shell and Coral Blush. So I'm going to go ahead and get those out. Put a little of each one. Because we are using all 5 colors today, you really don't need a lot of each color. So you can be a little sparing with it. I always think it's funny how different it looks on camera. So let's see, this one was my Coral Shell. This was my Coral Blush. Blue in the middle, Laurel and Almond. All right. So you can do the stencil 2 ways. You can either take a pencil and draw the petals if you prefer, or you can use the sponge. I'm going to show you both ways. So first, if you're just drawing, you will have to curve the stencil around the shape a little bit because the stone is curved. So if you wanted to do it this way, you could just draw that on there and then just take a small paintbrush and paint it in. So we've got every other. You can follow along on your guide if you want to. We've got 4 with the Laurel Green and 4 with the Blue Haven. An easy way to do it with the sponge, and I like to cut my sponge, especially when we're working small. So I'm just going to cut a piece off. And an easy way to do it with the sponge is just to line up that stencil. And then I'll dip just a little sponge corner. And I kind of tap offload, they call it offloading. Tap a little bit of that off, and then you can just tap that color right in there. I'm going to start with blue first. So there's my 4 blue. I'll just wipe this off and then switch colors. So you can either, if you're using the sponge, flip to the other side or just cut another little piece off. And then the other 4 are Laurel Green. I don't use stencils very often for mandalas, but there are a lot of mandala creators that do use stencils, and it's a really fun way to be able to push the design a little bit to do some things that you cannot normally do. And you can see here I didn't offload my sponge, so I've got a little bit of a mess right there. So I'm just going to fix it with some paint before I get started. This is just my background color. So there, I'll just clean that up a little bit. We end up with 4 blue and 4 green petals. I know on camera it's a little hard to see, but I'll put my blue at my north, south, east, and west, my green on the cross areas there. I'm going to clean off that stencil and just set it aside. Because I had to do a little repair, I'm just going to dry this real quick, although the paint for the stencil is already dry. If you remember to offload like I did when I started, it puts a thin coat and really it dries pretty quickly, but I've got to dry my little repair there. Great. Now let's get to the good part, the dotting part. All right, so we're going to start with the center dot in almondine. It's going to be 10 millimeters of the almond. And then we're going to grab our 4 millimeter tool and we're going to add dots at the end of these petals. So 4 millimeter in almond. All right, next we are going to walk the dots on each side. And so I've got my 3 millimeter tool, and we're going to use, my hair is all over everything. We're going to use Coral Blush and Coral Shell. And on the blue petals, we are going to use the Coral Blush, which is the darker color. So just on the blue petals, we are going to walk that. So dip once, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can fit 7 comfortably, and I'm putting those dots on kind of the line where the edge of the stencil meets the background color. And so I'm going to use the darker coral on the blue. And you'll see once you do this, it kind of hides the stencil look a little bit, which I prefer. And so we're going to walk the dots only on the blue. We're going to do the green in a different color. So once you finish those four, I'm going to switch to Coral Shell, which is the lighter of the corals, and I'm going to walk the dots on the laurel green. Next, we're going to do some swipes. So I'm going to continue using my 3mm tool. I'm going to start with the laurel paint, and I'm going to put the laurel green paint on the blue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dip, and then I'm going to start here on the outside and swipe inward. Only on the blue. So this is laurel on blue. You can better see it on here, but laurel on the blue. Then we're going to switch to the blue, same tool, 3mm, and I'm going to put a blue swipe on the laurel green. So the exact same thing, except this time it's blue on green. Next, we've got our 8mm tool. We're going to use the almondine color, and I'm going to place a dot in between each of these petals. And you can kind of line it up in between the edge of the petal, is where I try to have mine lined up. This again was 8mm and almond, or almondine it's called. Some of mine are slightly imperfect just because of the curvature of the rock, so if you need to, don't be afraid to get in there with a small stylus tool and fix that shape a little bit. Next, we're going to use our 4mm tool in Coral Blush, which is the darker color, the darker of the corals. And just outside or next to the almond dot we just made, we're going to make a center dot. Then I'm going to grab my 2.5mm stylus, coral shell, which is the lighter of the corals. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a swipe on each side. So swipe to the right and a swipe to the left around this almond dot that we just created. I'm going to stick with my 2.5mm tool, and what we're going to do next is we are going to walk the dots. From this coral dot here, we're going to walk kind of in a circular or a half circle over to this almond dot. So we use Blue Haven, our 2.5mm tool, and I'm going to kind of curve it. And I can fit 4 in there. So I'm going to do the right side and the left side. If you're uncomfortable with a curved line, you could always just make a straight line at an angle. That would be fine as well. I'm going to switch to my 1.5 millimeter tool. For me, that's my blue stylus on the large end. I'm going to use my laurel green, and we're going to do a set of triple dots in this little blank area here. And so to do a triple dot, you want to dip and dot each time so that they are the same size. So I'm going to do my center dot first, and then one to the right and one to the left. And that makes a little triangle triple dot there. And we repeat that all the way around, so 8 times total. Then we're going to do a set of 4 dots. And so we do these at the end of each petal. So we've got the petal, we've got the almond dot, and then we're going to do a set of 4. We do this the same way you do your set of 3, except this time I'm going to do a dot and a dot. I like to do the top and bottom first. I'm going to do that all the way around the top and bottom. And then I'm going to come back and do that left and right, and that'll make a set of 4. So you'll see here, I've got 2 all the way around, and then I'm going to come back and I put my right and left dot, and this makes it easier for me to center these. And I'm going to add the second set of 2 all the way around for a total of 4 in this space. That is it for the base of the design. You can add top dots however you would like to. Here in the center, I used a 6 millimeter tool, and I added a green dot, and then I came back through with a blue dot on top. So 6 millimeter laurel green, I think the design is pretty as is, so don't feel like you have to do a lot of top dots. I added on these almond circles here. I used a 4mm tool in my Blue Haven, and I added a blue dot in the center of those. In these smaller almond dots at the end of the petal, I'm going to use a 2.5mm tool and my laurel green. And that gets a little top dot right in the center there. And then in this coral dot here, I added laurel green. I think today, since this is the dark coral, I'm going to use my 2.5mm and I'm going to use the coral shell. Again, just feeling things a little differently, which is the fun of top dots. You can change up the design however you want to. And then the last top dot that I am missing is the one right here in the center. I'm going to wait till mine is a little more dry before I add that little blue dot in my center. But that is all I have for you. That's the Spring Skies Beginner Bliss. And I cannot wait to see your version. So go ahead and share in the share space or share in the group. Next week is a recorded session, and we are going to do some magnets. So I'll have a few different magnet designs for you, but we've got these fun little magnet buttons here that you can use, and that will be April 14th. And then the next live will be Monday, April 21st. So I will see you then. Have a great night, everyone.